رحم الله من يقرأ سورة الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. الحمد لله رب العالمين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين، واللعنة على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد. Respected elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah for the blessings of this Tuesday night, where we have a chance to sit again and to talk about the Ahlul Bayt, learn from their lives, and build a closer relationship with them as we learn more about their difficulties, their grace, their honor, and their great position in the eyes of Allah. We've been talking about our ninth Imam, Imam Muhammad ibn Ali al-Jawad alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And last week we mentioned briefly some of the time that he spent in the company of his father. And today we're beginning to mention of his period of imamat that lasted for approximately 17 years. Now remember something. Imam Jawad has the shortest lifespan of the 12 imams at 25 years of age, but it doesn't mean he has the shortest period of imamat. The shortest period of imamat was Imam Hassan al-Askari, whose imamat lasted only a period of 6 years. Before he was martyred and assassinated at the age of 28. So Imam Jawad, while he has the shortest lifespan, he still spent 17 years as an imam. These 17 years we're going to break down this week and next week. This week talking about some of the political issues that were going on at the time that were eventually the cause for the assassination of the imam. The political situation at the time, after the death of Imam Raza, was that Ma'mun found himself in a very difficult situation. What had happened when Ma'mun made Imam Raza his successor, the Shias and those who loved the Ahlul Bayt had become satisfied with the authority of Ma'mun. While on the other hand, the people of the Abbasid family, Abbasid clan and dynasty, as well as other individuals, had become frustrated with him. However, when Ma'mun goes about consolidating his power and kills Amin and assassinates Imam Raza, he finds that everybody now is displeased with him, that no one is happy with Ma'mun. And the accusation that Ma'mun is responsible for the murder of Imam Raza becomes very commonplace. So Ma'mun realizes that I need to win back each segment that has become displeased with me, and he begins with those who love the Ahlul Bayt. And his argument is, I didn't kill Imam Raza. He just died. So what does he do to prove this? He summons the son of Imam Raza to his court. Now understand something. A Khalifa summoning the son of Imam Raza knew that there was a successor to Imam Raza. His name was Muhammad ibn Ali, but he didn't know anything else about him. So what happens? He sends messengers to summon Imam Jawad to the court of Ma'mun. Now, the summon is sent, the Imam comes to Baghdad because he's forced to. But what happens, there's a culture and an etiquette to the court where Ma'mun doesn't oversee every individual who wants to see him in his court. Rather, instead, there's a process by which you register your name, you submit your application, you tell the Khalifa called you, you came on your own, whatever it is you wanted. And there's someone who takes charge of this information and gives you a place and a time where you will enter the court. So sure enough, Imam Jawad goes through the process of registering for the court, and they look and they see an 8-year-old boy. And they're like, what are you doing here? He's like, I was sent by from Ma'mun. He wants me to be here. So they take a look at it as unimportant. Why are you here? What's going on? Forget it. Never mind. And essentially what happens is Imam Jawad winds up in a period of limbo where he has to be in Baghdad because he was called by the Khalifa, he can't leave. But the Khalifa's own court and administrators don't value him and won't give him the time to be seen in the court. So for a period of days, Imam Jawad is stuck in Baghdad. And while he's stuck there, one of the days, he is out with some children, and the Khalifa, with his hunting party, is going out. As the Khalifa and his hunting party go out, the children who are playing by the side of the road all run away in fear of the Khalifa and the Khalifa's men, except Imam Jawad. Every kid runs away except one. So when Ma'mun sees this happen and sees one kid standing there, he stops. And he turns to this child and he says, "Boy, everybody ran away. Why didn't you run away?" And Imam Jawad replies and he says, I saw that you're coming. There was plenty of room on the road, so I didn't have to worry that you would hit me. 2, I didn't do anything wrong. And 3, if I didn't do anything wrong and there's space for me to stay here, the only reason that you would do something to me is that you're, a bad person who abuses people without need. And I know you're the Khalifa and you're not supposed to be like that. So why should I run away from you? Ma'mun is taken aback by this answer of the child, and he continues on his journey. Ma'mun goes hunting. And in those days, a king would hunt with a hawk. And you would hunt partridges and other types of birds. And you would send your hawk, and the hawk would go capture the bird from the air and bring it back to you. It happens that while Ma'mun is hunting, he sends his falcon. The falcon goes up into the air and then comes back to him. But it doesn't come back with a bird that he sent it after. It instead comes back with a fish. Ma'mun becomes perplexed by this, that he saw with his own eyes. The falcon went up, the falcon came back. The falcon didn't go near water. The falcon went after a bird, but it came back with a fish. Now, the bird that it went after isn't the kind of bird that eats fish, that you could say that, oh, the falcon stole a fish from the other bird. He's astounded by this, perplexed by it, but he sees it as an omen and he decides, I'm going to go home, I'm done. Now, he has this fish with him because he's curious and he's like, I'm going to go back, I'm going to give it to my wazirs, I'm going to go find out what's going on. Why did I catch a fish instead of a bird? What happened here? And sure enough, as he heads back, he sees that same young man on the side of the road. And again, he stops. And he says, boy, let me ask you a question. You seem to have some knowledge and some information. And he's testing because in his mind, the doubt has come that the way that this child answered me, this is the son of Ali ibn Musa. But he's not sure. And again, it's inappropriate for a Khalifa to say, like, are you so-and-so? Are you this? Are you that? And he doesn't want to be embarrassed that some random child, the Khalifa wants to know about some random child. So the Khalifa in his pride decides, let me test this boy again. So he stops and he says, boy, what do I possess in my hand? And Imam Raza's son, Imam Jawad, replies and he says, sometimes the Khalifas go hunting and they catch a fish that Allah has kept within the seas of this earth. And they come back and they ask the children of Ali Muhammad to explain why they have a fish. As soon as Ma'mun hears the statement, he jumps off of his horse and says, boy, what's your name? And he says, I am Muhammad ibn Ali ibn Musa ibn Ja'far ibn Muhammad ibn Ali, and goes all the way back to the Prophet. Ma'mun comes and hugs and kisses Imam Jawad as a young man who's 8 or 9 years old at this point in time. And he insists that Imam Jawad come to the court and be his guest and sit with him. Now, what's fascinating about this is that the traditional system of politics was something that had hidden Imam Jawad from the eyes of Ma'mun for a small period of time. But the awesome nature of Imam Jawad was such that it could not be hidden anywhere. And in this case, Ma'mun brought Imam Jawad into the court. And as he found him and he realized the special nature of Imam Jawad, he immediately announced to all the Abbasids that I will marry my daughter Fadil to Muhammad ibn Ali al-Jawad. And the Abbasids freaked out. They said, you already did this to us once by marrying your older daughter to Ali ibn Musa al-Rida. Now you're going to marry your youngest daughter or your younger daughter to Muhammad ibn Ali. Are you nuts? What are you doing? Why do you keep doing this? And stop it. And Ma'mun says, no, I know better. I will do this. And they say, you're crazy. So Ma'mun says, okay, listen, you guys are disagreeing with me and arguing with me. Let's have a munazara, or let's have a discussion for you to see how special this young man is. And then you'll understand why I'm insisting that I'm going to marry my daughter to this young man. So the Abbasids are like, fine. And again, in the mind of the Abbasids, this is a 9-year-old boy. How special could he be? And the Abbasids didn't recognize the authority of the Ahlul Bayt, which is why, had they believed in the authority of the Ahlul Bayt, they never would have questioned Imam Rida. They didn't know. They didn't care. They were materialistic people. So they say, fine. And they see this as a way of, like, Ma'mun's losing his mind. He's going to be disgraced. And this will make it easier for us to take power away from him. So they agree. And all of the Abbasids come to see who it is that Ma'mun has preferred over any of them. What is that Ma'mun is trying to accomplish? And they choose a person by the name Yahya bin Akhtam to be the questioner of Imam Jawad. Now, to explain, Yahya bin Akhtam was the head of the entire judicial system in the Abbasid Khilafat. So meaning he was the one who passed judgment on any religious issue, and he had full authority. He was like the top of the judge system at that point in time. And that meant that he was, in their eyes, the most smartest, most qualified faqih, jurist of their time. So there's no way a 9-year-old can compete with the guy who's running every judge system and has the final say on every Islamic ruling within the kingdom. So they set this munazara. Now, Ma'mun sits in his throne. And the description of the throne is that it was a covered throne that had like a canopy or a little dome over the top of it. And he erects a similar seat to this, but smaller, for Imam Jawad. And as all of the Abbasids enter and the judge enters, he has Imam Jawad come and sit upon this throne that is right next to his. And he starts the conversation. He says, this is a debate, a munazara, a discussion between Yahya bin Akhtam, the leading jurist of our time, and the son of Ali ibn Musa, Muhammad ibn Ali. And he turns to Imam Jawad and he says, do you want to start? And Imam Jawad says, let him ask. So Yahya bin Akhtam asks a question. It's a very famous question. He says, in Yahya's mind, he picks the most difficult issue that exists, which is the issue of kafara, penalties. What kafara can be due on a person? And then he picks a kafara which is rarely applied and utilized, where he says, what is the penalty of one who hunts in the condition of ihram? And this is his opening volley to show that I, Yahya bin Akhtam, the jurist of the time, the judge of the time, this is a question I feel worthy to hear, that if you have any knowledge, this will expose to me how much you know. Imam Jawad blows him out of the water. Imam Jawad says, you didn't complete the question. If you want me to answer your question, first complete the question. Yahya bin Akhtam says, what's wrong with my question? How can you say my question is wrong? Famously, Imam Jawad replies, he says, there are 22 possibilities of how your question could be structured to complete your question. Yahya's face comes down. And Imam Jawad begins and he says, these 22 conditions. He says, 1, did the hunt take place inside of the haram or outside of the haram? In the precincts of Makkah or in the precincts of the Kaaba? 2, was the hunter aware of the law or he wasn't aware of the law? That's 4 conditions so far. Whether he did it intentionally or was it by mistake? Was he intentionally hunting or did he accidentally kill something? Was the hunter a free man or was he a slave? Whether the hunter was baligh or he was not baligh, he was immature. Was this the first time he committed this mistake? of hunting while in ihram, or had he done it before as well? Was he a repeat offender of this? Whether he hunted a bird in the sky, or did he hunt some other creature that was on the ground? Did he hunt an animal that was small, like a little sparrow, or big, like a hawk? Did the hunter regret his act, or was he satisfied that what he had done was good? Was the hunt performed during the night, or was the hunt performed during the day? And finally, the ihram this person was wearing, was it an ihram of Hajj, or was it the ihram of Umrah? Upon hearing all these conditions, Yahya bin Akhtam looks at Ma'mun, looks back, and he's like, I got nothing. This guy's way out of my league. I'm using those words. He says, these questions are out of my league. There's no way that I even know that all these conditions existed. So it's one thing that, for example, I didn't anticipate you would know enough to be able to answer my question. It's another thing, completely other thing, that you know more about my question than I know about my question. Now, the various narrations about this event indicate that either one, at this moment, Ma'mun sees the utter defeat of Yahya bin Akhtam and immediately recites the nikah of Fadil to Imam Jawad. Fadil is the daughter of Ma'mun. Or two, Ma'mun says, let's continue this. And he asks, do you, since Yahya bin Akhtam has admitted defeat, that you know more than him, do you still want to ask him something? And famously, Imam Jawad says, fine, I'll ask him a question too. So Imam Jawad turns to Yahya bin Akhtam and he says, let me ask you a question now. And Imam Jawad's question is, who is the woman, or what is the situation of a woman who is unlawful to a man 4 times and lawful to a man 4 times in the same day? And he elaborates the question very beautifully. Imam Jawad begins and he says, when the day begins, a man looks at a woman and it's unlawful for him to look at her. Then as the morning proceeds, it becomes lawful for him to look at her. Then when Zohar comes, it becomes unlawful for him to look at her, meaning she's not his mahram. Then at Asr, it becomes lawful for him to look at her. Then at Maghrib, it becomes unlawful for him to look at her. And finally at Isha, she again becomes lawful for him. And then at midnight, she again becomes unlawful. And in the morning, she again becomes lawful. Meaning that within a 24-hour span, 4 times she became permissible and mahram to him, and 4 times she was not mahram to him in the span of 1 day. And Yahya bin Akhtam goes, yeah, I got nothing. So Imam Jawad says, let me answer you my own question. And Imam Jawad begins and he says, when the day began, the man looked at a slave girl that belonged to another person, and it was impermissible for anyone to look at her except the person who was a slave owner. Then in the middle of the morning, he bought the slave girl for himself, and she became وَمَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُهُمْ, what the right hand possesses, and she became permissible for him to look at. Then at Zohar, he went and set her free that she's no longer a slave. And once she wasn't a slave, she was also not his mahram anymore. So she became unlawful for him to look at. Then at Asr, he went and he married her. So she became lawful for him and mahram to him again. Then at Maghrib, he recited a statement of zihar, or he made a example that she is like his mother. In Islam, to say your wife is the same as your mother violates the nikah and breaks the nikah. And there's some more specificity to this, but for the sake of the story, we simply mentioned that to say your wife is the same as your mother makes the relationship between husband and wife forbidden. So at Maghrib, when he says you're the same as my mother, she becomes not mahram for him. The nikah is batil. Then at Isha, he gives the kafara and does istighfar for the statement that he made against his wife, and she becomes lawful for him. Then after Maghrib, in the middle of the night, he decides to recite talaq to her. He divorces her. And as soon as he divorces her, she becomes not mahram for him. And then after that, because it's talaq raj'i, that she can come back, he takes her back, and she became lawful for him again. And in this way, the woman became lawful or mahram to him 4 times, and she became unlawful and not mahram to him 4 times in the span of 1 day. This situation floors the entire court, and the knowledge of Imam Rada, of Imam Jawad, of simply saying, this is nothing special. This is fiqh that I'm talking about. This is simply Islamic law. I didn't bring something outside that doesn't exist. This is a legitimate condition that can take place. That immediately after this, in just about all of the discussions, that Ma'mun ties the marriage between his daughter Fadil to Imam Jawad. And the nikah is recited there, or the agreement is made there that the nikah is done. And they celebrate, and sweets are given out, and celebration is done, and perfumes are given, and all these great things are done. And then supposedly Ma'mun turns and says, Imam Jawad, or Muhammad ibn Ali, you described 22 circumstances where a kafara would be due. What's the answer to those 22? And in Kitab Muntaha al-Amal and other places, all 22 of these circumstances, whether you're baligh or you're not baligh, ihram for hajj or umrah, night or day, big or small, bird or animal, all of these answers Imam Jawad gives in detailed explanation. What's interesting is, what's interesting is there's a couple points. One, there's no real discussion that I've seen that describes and says that at the age of 8 or 9, did Fadil, now that she's married to Imam Jawad, go home with him now? Or 2, was she sent later to the house of her husband? Now, one of the interesting things that's discussed is, why did Fadil agree to this marriage? Because she had seen the example of Imam Rada, they knew the situation, and Ma'mun is essentially using her as a piece. And Ma'mun's goal was what? I couldn't control the father. Let me get attached to the son, and let me see if I can join my lineage to the son. So Ma'mun's goal was very selfish and very independently thought out, that he said, okay, these Ahlul Bayt, I can't do anything about them. They are better than me. So he goes through the process of trying to legitimize his rule and his authority through the union of marriage. That through the union of marriage, it would be a possibility that his lineage that would continue after him would be tied to the Khilafat, and the origination would be that Ma'mun was the one who brought his lineage in line with the Ahlul Bayt and took over authority. So Ma'mun is using his daughter as a pawn. Why would Fadil agree? There's some discussion that says that Fadil's agreement was on the principle that Ma'mun would keep Imam Jawad in the court, and Fadil's life would not change, and he would now have, this 9-year-old that would come under his influence and would listen to him and would be his pawn and puppet. So Fadil agrees, Ma'mun agrees, and he says, listen, I couldn't control the father. He was too mature, too old. He had too big of a personality for me to manage. Let me try the 9-year-old. There's a description that says that within a few days after the event of this munazara between Yahya bin Akhdam and Imam Jawad, that Imam Jawad returns to Medina. One of the explanations is possible that within that short period of time, Ma'mun came to the sudden realization that an Imam is unlike any other human being. The same way that Ma'mun couldn't control Imam Rada through power, through wealth and status and all these things, Imam Jawad was the same thing, that he couldn't be controlled inside of the court. And that is, if Imam Jawad stayed in the court, the Khilafat of Ma'mun would be in jeopardy. So essentially, within a matter of days, Ma'mun must have come to the conclusion that, listen, I assassinated the father, I can't assassinate the boy. The boy is too young, and he's married to my daughter, and he doesn't want to stay here, and I'm forcing him to stay here. Let him go back to Medina. So Ma'mun's solution was, okay, fine. Let me send him back to Medina so he's not in the court threatening my authority. Let him go have children, and maybe my lineage will come from him, and then I can bring my lineage back and put them in control and say, hey, look, here's the join between. The lovers of Ahlul Bayt and the Banu Abbas, they're all in the same house and it's all done. So essentially, he lets Imam Jawad leave the court within a period of days after announcing his marriage to Fadl. Now, did Fadl go immediately to the house of her husband? Did she go later? History doesn't really elaborate in anything that I've seen to say when does she go. But essentially, when she does go to Medina and she loses all of her control and authority and loses all of her wealth and status, now she's really unhappy. And further to that, Imam Jawad has no children with Fadl. As a matter of fact, Imam Jawad takes a second wife, who was Lady Sumana. Lady Sumana was from the lineage of Ammar ibn Yasir, one of the pious companions of the Holy Prophet. His lineage and generations became Lady Sumana. And Lady Sumana became the wife of Imam Jawad as well as Fadl. And all of the children of Imam Jawad come from Lady Sumana and none come from Fadl. Not even one child. There's some debate that says that when the second marriage takes place, that Fadl must have protested and said that I feel degraded and disrespected. I'm the daughter of the Khalifa, and here my husband is taking a second wife. And it's likely that she protested to her father that this man has married the daughter of the Khalifa and he has a second wife. And the explanation comes to say that even if this complaint was lodged, there was nothing to do about it. Because in Islam, it was halal and jaiz, and it was permissible, and it was normal in the culture of the Arab. And even if he was to criticize Imam Jawad for this action, his own khilafat was filled with a variety of women that he had taken as wives and concubines and whatnot and all this other nonsense. So the answer was, if Ma'mun is living truly a bad lifestyle and not following even the basic rules of Islam, how can he criticize Imam Jawad for living in the rules of Islam? And nothing was done about this. Eventually, the Khilafat of Ma'mun comes to an end. And it comes to an end in approximately the year 218. So from 203 to 218, which was a 15-year period of Imam Jawad's imamah, he was under the Khilafat of Ma'mun. And Ma'mun couldn't do anything about Imam Jawad, so he just left him in Medina and said, stay there and stay out of my business and leave me alone. But in 218, when Ma'mun dies, his brother Mu'tasim comes to the Khilafat. When Mu'tasim comes to the Khilafat in 218, he listens to his niece Fadl complain about her condition in Medina. And as she complains about her condition of Medina, she makes allegations against Imam Jawad. And eventually Mu'tasim calls Imam Jawad to the city of Baghdad, which eventually in the year 220 leads to the Shahadat of Imam Jawad. In this way, we saw that the forced marriage of Fadl to Imam Jawad was one of the issues that eventually brought about the assassination of Imam Jawad at the age of 25. But the leanings in the court and the short period that Imam spent in the court was so impactful, so powerful, that it's recorded history of the fact of the knowledge of Imam Jawad at 9 years or 8 years of age was so impactful that it, one, demonstrated the authority of the Ahlul Bayt, that it's not something learned over a period of time. It's something that's divinely inspired. That two, you can never spend enough of your life learning knowledge that you can ever even begin to compete with the knowledge of an Imam. And Yahya ibn Akhtam was disgraced a number of times by trying to compete with the Ahlul Bayt, and this was the first of those incidences. And that eventually whatever the Imam does is for the best of Islam. And while we may look back and say that he shouldn't have gone, or he should have, for example, not married her, or whatever the Imam does, the same way that his knowledge is impeccable in laws of fiqh, his knowledge is impeccable and perfect in executing his responsibilities to protect and preserve Islam. And the Imam is someone who always prioritizes Islam over himself. We saw this with Imam Hassan's treaty. We saw this with Imam Hussain fighting in Karbala. We saw this in Imam Zain al-Abidin not taking revenge. We saw this in Imam Baqir and Imam Sadiq refusing to involve themselves in the dynasty wars between the Banu Umayyah and the Banu Abbas, or trying to sequester authority in their own hands. We saw this in Imam Kadhim being patient with the abuses that were hurled against him from his own family that eventually led to his shahadat. We saw this in Imam Rada, that he became the successor of the Khalifa not because it was good for him, but because it was the way to make sure that Islam remained preserved. Imam Jawad continues that tradition. You and I may think selfishly that this was a bad decision or a bad idea, but the Imam never looks at his own interest. He looks at Islam and making sure that Islam persists and continues to exist. We raise our hands in dua. ندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم. يا الله 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 يا محمود بحق محمد يا أعلى بحق علي يا فاطر السماوات بحق فاطمة يا محسن بحق الحسن يا قديم الإحسان بحق الحسين. Oh Allah, accept a small ibadat from us. Ya Allah, give the thawab of this mention of Ahlul Bayt, this recitation of dua, to our marhumeen, the marhumeen of the mu'mineen, and all those who are in need of dua. Ya Allah, there are mu'mineen suffering around this world through insecurity, through war, through strife. Oh Allah, give aman, security, protection to the mu'mineen, and bring peace to the people of this earth wherever they are. Ya Allah, keep our children on the upright path of Islam. Keep our children those who learn from the example of Ahlul Bayt and follow the example of Ahlul Bayt. Oh Allah, join us with Ahlul Bayt in this world and entitle us to their shifa in the hereafter. Remembering all of our marhumeen, 1 Surah Fatiha, 3 times Surah Ikhlas, and all those who are in need of dua, with a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawm al-Din.